is Joseph. This is Spoiled Anime.
My name is Adam.
What we're trying to do here in this podcast is essentially give a review on anime. We're going to start with the more well-known stuff and work our way to the more obscure. And what this does, obviously, is it's called Spoiled Anime for a reason. We will be
Giving out spoilers.
Exactly. So what we're going to be reviewing this time is Outlaw Star, and Adam's going to give the descriptor, and then we're going to give our opinions, and then we're going to spoil the hell out of it. So,
Sounds good. So, IMDb about Outlaw Star says, this is a story about Gene Starwin, dreams of a life as an outlaw, and fate smiles on him as he seems to have suddenly wound up with a great job. But things go awry and he finds himself the new owner of the fastest, most technologically advanced ship in the galaxy. Unfortunately, it's stolen, and the owners want it back. Along with his partner Jim and the lovely Melfina, Gene must fight his way across the galaxy, battling pirates, aliens, assassins, as he attempts to discover the secrets of the Outlaw Star. So, that's that. It's actually I found this show to be pretty good, and if I had to give a quick yay or nay on this, I'd definitely give it a yay. Definitely would watch this, and I do suggest this to people just starting to get into anime for something fun.
I actually completely agree. It was, I have to say, probably the third one I watched, and it was well worth watching, and regardless of where you sit on sci-fi and all that. So it's definitely worth watching. So essentially it's 2 yeses from us, and now we're going to spoil it. So if you're only here for the yay or nay, this is a yay, so go watch it. And if you don't care, we're now going to spoil the crap out of it. So let's get into that. And so I actually really enjoyed this. Gene is a pretty hilarious character, very slapstick, and I would say very reminiscent of the slacker who gets very lucky in most anime and just has a string of good luck until it goes bad.
Yeah, he's very fly by the seam of his pants kind of character. Yeah, things kind of do tend to go his way, and that way he's lucky, but he is very talented as a kind of do what he has to do to fight people. The show starts off right away with somebody coming to collect a bounty on him, I think, or just comes to fight him, and he then collects the bounty on the person who came for him, due to his superior skills in combat. Sometimes superior skills in combat just happens to be superior armaments, in comparison to who he's fighting at the time. But
exactly. Or embarrassing the person, which is the sword girl who yes, who he causes to blush, and then she decides to follow him in order to make his life miserable, in a way.
Yeah, the assassin who comes to kill his friend, but he protects. Then the assassin goes after him, and then he, after embarrassing her, she then some reason decides to follow him around for a while.
Exactly. And then you have Melfina, who is very much the original, has the original entrance that gets played out in Firefly, which is the opening of a case, and she is naked inside, in a suspended animation.
Yes.
Which very reminiscent of River from Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
So you have those crosses, and then of course you have Jim, who is the genius slash keeps everybody kind of together, and everybody kind of like the childlike mentality when everybody else loses it.
Yeah, he's kind of I'd say he's really the anchor of the group. He's the one who kind of keeps them together. He keeps them directed towards making money when they need to, and as a whole, he's the one who's Gene's the big dreamer. Jim's the one who brings a little bit of practicality to the group. Along with then as the group grows with Melfina and Suzuka, and then Aisha Clan of the Kataro. Then as that group gets a little bit more wild and crazy and doing what they need to do, it always seems that Jim is the one who pulls them back together and kind of directs them to the right thing. I mean, when he's the brain.
Yeah, he's the brain, and then you have Aisha Aisha Katara?
Aisha Clan.
Aisha Clan. I always call her Cat Girl. I just very simplistic, I guess. But she's the strength, and then you've got the kind of skill in the Sword Girl and Jean, and then Brains, obviously Jim, and then Malfina is kind of trying to discover herself.
I think she would more fall under the line of I mean, obviously she's the romantic interest, kind of the big, what gives him power at the end is kind of her sharing her love with him as he's fighting Hazanko.
Oh yeah, Hazanko too. Yeah,
in a digital world or whatever, in the ley line. But I mean, so she kind of fills that role. She's kind of a little bit of the feminine, the more passive feminine character in the show, who kind of, she still has, I mean, she gets to explore herself and kind of what it means to be human and things like that. Somebody to kind of bring out more of Gene's humanity too, I would say, instead of him just being a wild outlaw.
Yeah. Exactly. And you have, of course, the enemies in the Mcdougalls, who you've got one that's after Malfina and is trying to get her to fall in love with him, and then the other one who killed Jean's father. So you've got you've got those two guys that continually show up, and I want to say that you kind of hate them, but you kind of feel bad for them because they think that they're so badass, and then every time they get smacked down so hard, you don't think you're going to see him again.
I don't necessarily feel bad for the older brother out of the two. A little bit the robotic brother who's trying to get Malfina. I mean, he's definitely crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, in a way, it kind of, you feel bad for him because you're like, he's kind of got the mind of a young man who's a little crazy, and he doesn't know how to deal with what he wants. And I mean, his approach to trying to woo Malfina is very childlike, and when he doesn't get it, he throws a fit.
Yeah.
But even then, in the end, he kind of redeems himself, I believe, if I remember right. He kind of saves Malfina.
Yeah, he saves Malfina, exactly. So, I mean, and then the gun, obviously, the caster gun is, I think, a very cool mechanic, and definitely a Deus Ex Machina in a way, and
in certain aspects.
But at the same time, it does have the I think one of the most interesting uses for the number of the bullets are obviously spells, and the stronger, I think it's lower, like number ones are the strongest ones, and then lower or higher is the lower end ones, if I remember right. So ones are really powerful, and then I think it's 9 and 10 are like the low powered ones.
Something like that.
Yeah, or it's reverse.
I think it goes higher than that.
I think there's higher ones.
He starts with a 19.
Yeah, you're right.
16, or like his first 2 shells. I think he has. Might be a 13. I can't remember. But But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting show because it starts off with it starts to seem like it's going to be a straight. Sci-fi maybe a sci-fi western or sci-fi space opera kind of show, but then it with the introduction of the caster, it then introduces the element of fantasy into this sci-fi world, because now you have magic, and and it's not just the caster guns that are or caster weapons that are magic. You also have the K pirates and their Tau magic users.
Hmm.
Those guys are also so. I mean, so you have. That's why I like this. I think that's one of the reasons I like the show so much. Is it you got those elements of the sci-fi, the space, the fantasy, all kind of intermingling together. Yet and they go together really well without detracting from each other at all. Like sometimes you mix those two and they like one kind of takes dominance over the other and just doesn't really mesh well. This one they do it pretty good, and I liked it. I thought it was good clean fun.
Yeah, I thought that all the characters were really enjoyable. I thought the spaceship itself as a computer that is a character also unto itself.
Gilliam.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's very much kind of the straight man in a way, because he's very straight laced, and this computer was essentially designed for a purpose, but at the same time, all of this all of this very unique stuff that he probably was never programmed for in that kind of ideal thing, and so he's having to deal with it as well.
To me, Gilliam is like you have this whole crew of wild things, and then Gilliam's like the posh butler trying to like keep control of his ship.
Exactly,
And, I mean, technically, you can almost say it's himself. I mean, you have the three pieces of the Outlaw Star. Well, the Outlaw Star being the XGP or XPG or whatever it is, and XGP, I think. Let me double check that on for you.
I'm pretty sure it's XGP because GXP is the Tenchi Muyo spinoff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's XGP. I think you're right. Yeah, so the XGP, and then and with the XGP, and then you have Gilliam being the AI piece, and then you have the cyborg interface, which is Melfina. And all three of those together make this crazy ship, which is able to find the galactic ley line, this super treasure of sorts that has everything you could ever want, whether it's money, power, anything. Supposedly you find this thing and all your dreams come true. It's almost the sci-fi genie in a lamp sort of kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you could possibly wish for, that's what you get. And
yeah, I mean, so they go through all their craziness and eventually find it.
yeah, and they come out, of course, ahead, and Jean protects Malfina, and Malfina protects Jean, and they manage to get through, and you're like, yay! So I mean, I don't know. In some ways, there is a second season. But,
There is.
oh well, no. Sorry, I should say there was going to be a second season where they went farther, but that never did occur. So,
Does the manga go farther? I mean, I don't know.
apparently not, from what I was able to read, because I am not a manga person, which
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be a bunch of comments for, oh, the manga, but we don't care. We're not focusing on that. So,
No, not to say that it's not good. It's just I don't honestly. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to read that manga and watch the shows, and I have other stuff I need to read. And
exactly.
If I can get the story in a condensed version. But like I said, but not to discredit a manga or a book or anything for that matter. I mean, I read lots of books, and I do read a couple mangas, but I think you need to, what we're trying to do is just take the anime for what it is, not trying to compare it to mangas, because I mean some of these animes that we might talk about are going to be where they have a manga that's been around for frickin' ever, and or mangas that go much farther than the show, much like some of my favorites, and I know the mangas go farther than what the show does, and it kind of makes me sad because the show itself is fantastic, but I think it's I think the show itself leaves you on a nice note that they did at the end, even though they find this ley line in a way that they're like, he finds what he wants. He found somebody to care for, found somebody who cares for him. Malfina finds herself in a way, and they continue. They end with the sense of they're still going to go on their adventures and continue to essentially do what they did throughout this whole show, but not necessarily looking for the ley line anymore. Just going to go have some fun in space.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those things that, in a way, he is like, I'm happy just the way I am. When I got here, like, I found what I was looking for, and it wasn't anything to do with unlimited power and godlike abilities. It was space, friends, fun, and just doing what he wanted to do.
Exactly. I mean, it starts off the show where he's always wanting more treasure, wanting to get rich. But then at the end, you leave with the sense of like, he's content. Yeah, maybe I think he still says like, we'll hit it big one day. But it's not so much about him being rich anymore. It's more about him just enjoying the ride.
Exactly.
And I think that's like the growth you see of Gene Starwind.
Yep, and I think overall it's a good show, and just like you said, mysticism, sci-fi, and just kind of like adventure that keeps it entertaining and makes it worth watching. It's something I bought. Like, I bought the collection because it's something worth watching more than one time, even when you're just putting it on in the background and doing something else. Is kind of it's worth listening to or watching, or just kind of an enjoyable one.
Yeah, it's one of the first ones I ever bought. It may be the first one I ever bought, actually. I
think the first thing I ever bought was actually the OVA of Ranma. But
yeah,
way back when.
We'll get to that one another
time. That one's going to be a long one, since that one pulls from way in our past. But
Yep. So
I think that's pretty much wraps this podcast up. And so obviously, as we said before, it's a yay on both sides, worth owning, adding to the collection. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.